So, good afternoon, friends. Now we are having Professor Giri Babu M with us. He is right now head Department of Economics, Mizoram University, and he is going to talk today about economic development and inclusiveness, some contemporary issues. So, sir, we are having some 37, 38 participants here. Right now, around 30 have joined only. So, they are from different states. They are representing, say, 14 states, and they are from commerce, economics, and management background. So, sir, you may start your session now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, good afternoon to all, my dear participants. So, as already Professor Sir introduced me, myself, Professor Giri Babu. Currently, I'm the head of department, Mizoram University, Economics Department. So, like Sir said, I think today I'm going to talk about economic development and inclusiveness. Since I'm from economics background as a faculty in economics. Economic development today, I think India, we are talking about Viksit Bharat. We are going to be.
Sorry to disturb, sir. Make it presentation mode,
Okay.
full screen.
Yes.
Yes, now it's fine. Okay, sir, continue.
Yes. So as I think you know about that, actually India now growing very fast when compared to even China or USA or even other countries also. The India achieving almost 8.2% growth rate recently. I think you can select now the G20 in Brazil also completed. So as per the latest data information, the economic development going about robust growth. So based on that, I think here you can see today I'm going to talk about some issues like different sectors, how we are achieving, how we are developing, and how this inclusiveness or inclusion is going to take into consideration. So based on that, how the economic development or economic growth or sustainable development is going to meet the inclusiveness as well as the achieving the Viksit Bharat or you can say highly advanced country status by 2047. So based on that, each and every content, each and every aspect, we are going to talk about that. So here mainly you can see particularly where economic development India mainly as already I said, I think now the one of the fastest growing economy in the world. So India has had a fairly decent growth experience. Mainly, you can say from 1991 onwards, when India was initiated, the economic reforms like liberalization, globalization, privatization, deregulation, marketization policies. After that, I think when the present government, NDA government was initiated from 2014 onward, there was a lot of changes was taken place. So based on here, when compared to the early years, particularly before no economic reforms, the ongoing transformation the country has been experiencing positive acclaim. Mainly, you can like every day, I think you can see the India is getting growing very fast. So based on that, in terms of governance and public policy, the country has been shifted from the entitlement, mainly can like the development to expansion of entrepreneurial. So mainly, particularly the present government giving much importance about the self-employment. Mainly, you can say where government is not in position to provide the more government employment, where already last time also, I think the government of India, respected Prime Minister also telling the government having no business to do business. Mainly, you can say mainly the merging or you can say monetization of the public undertakings. So based on that, giving the much importance about MSME, the marginal, small, medium enterprises. So based on that here, the development to expansion of entrepreneurial base, catering both the domestic demand as well as the global needs. Actually, now India also one of the main competitor in the international world and global market. So based on that, actually, India how is going to achieve the what we are talking about the Viksit Bharat. So at present, I think you can like almost the Indian GDP is around 3.71 trillion economy. Maybe you can say by 2025, they're expecting the 5 trillion economy. So based on here, the India has become the fifth largest economy. Now I think they want to be third largest economy by 2030. maybe after India, after USA, China, India won't be third position. So based on that, whatever today the taking the policy initiative, a macroeconomic structure, everything, I think you can say the how the Indian economy is taking place. So based on that, India has become the fifth largest economy as of now. I think you know that the and poised to continue to be path with main aspiration, mainly like with aspiration to reach the developed country by 2047. That is the Viksit Bharat status, the time of century celebrations when you're going to celebrate. The India is always an ambitious, multi-pronged agenda ranging from deploying global surpluses for infrastructure development. I think you know the all the development activities where physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, institution infrastructure, so based on that, to bring the inclusiveness among the people, mainly whatever today, the right to education, right to health, right to other sanitation, everything, I think inclusiveness has to be taken place. Energy efficiency and the global action to mitigate the terrorism. Mainly, I think this last year we organized G20 presidency with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And this time also, I think Brazil, the 20th G20 conference was held, I think recently, November 18 and 19. The time though, I think you can select the sustainable inclusiveness as a theme. So based on that, how the economic development and bringing the inclusiveness also one of the main important agenda, how you're going to take into consideration. So based on that here, the inclusive development as a development strategy, why you have to give the priority? Mainly it's like how the inclusive development is going to be very needed, particularly to maintain the sustainable development goals. So based on that, inclusive development as a development strategy has emerged and evolved within the parametric mainly like historical consent and socio-economic settings. The origin can be by and large be traced with the beginning of 1990s. Actually, the inclusiveness, particularly you can select 11th five-year plan, we given the important, particularly the inclusive growth or inclusive development. If not earlier, when India has undertaken a major programs of economic reforms. Despite some initial hiccups, mainly you can select when you want to achieve, particularly you can select when you want to achieve the inclusiveness, but you can select there are some lacunas, there are some no shortcomings, there are some limitations also we are going to face. So based on that, despite some initial hiccups, the Indian economy as even evinced, mainly can like evinced a remarkable resilience and growth since the initiation of the inclusive growth development, mainly from 11 five-year plans. Maybe nowadays we don't have any planning commission, we are not implementing any planning commissions, but actually we have the Niti Ayog, so you can like the Niti Ayog, the National Institute of Transformation India, they're taking care about all the initiatives as well as the distribution of the financial everything. So based on that, the Indian economy has evinced a remarkable resilience and growth since the initiation of the process of reforms, mainly from 1991, where we're using the liberalization and other programs like globalization, privatization. So in that condition, mainly can like when you're talking about the inclusiveness, the India has also witnessed a faster growth in consumer expenditure. We know today almost 142 crores of population. Within the India, you can like we have the very good market economy we have. So consumer expenditure is a very, very much high. Because of that, I think the respectable, the finance ministry, every month he is telling about the GSTs are increasing. Why? Because the people are consuming more and paying more and more GST. So based on that, now I think recently we crossed 2 lakhs crores per month also. So based on that, here mainly the consumer expenditure is going very fast. Massive investment, mainly you can select the public and private and foreign investments also coming to India. We're investing, expanding you can select the manufacturing sector also, the massive investment in infrastructure, the rapid process of urbanization. Mainly, you can select earlier only the 5 metro cities are available like Chennai, Mumbai, Bangalore, or you can select the other Ahmedabad, some. But now every state they have 1 or 2 metro cities and metro. Urbanization is growing very fast. Enormous flow of foreign direct investment. Mainly, you can select nowadays. I think how much you have foreign direct investment. The people love. I think our respective finance minister as well as the foreign no prime minister and the foreign minister also, well, I think Jay Shankar, they keep on visiting the many countries. I think to attract the foreign direct investment, mainly giving the, you can say like the more infrastructure facilities to attract the more and more foreign direct investment. This is also another important development where we are giving. Similarly, the swift expansion of industrial and service sector. I think, when we all face the COVID situation, 2019, 2021, I think the growth rate is registered almost negative 23.9%, and industrial growth, industry sector was much affected. So nowadays, I think now again we're revival phase we are taking. So based on that, now again we are registering the positive growth rate mainly in industry sector and service sector. But actually, one side we are growing very fast. There is no doubt at all in the taking the growth rate in entire the world, India is in top position. So 8.2%. When even China compared to China also, India is the giving or you can say like expanding or growing very fast. But unfortunately, where the highly populated country like India, where you can say like the very process that a set of economic and physical condition right from the long-term process of growth and development has also engenders a number of negative trends also. So mainly, for example, as a UNDP or you can say like Oxfam or you can say like World Bank or IMF or any in the finance institutions they're giving. I think India there is some many negative impacts also taking place even though the economy is growing. So mainly you can say the number of negative trends like poverty, the economic inequalities associated with the socio-economic deprivation in the form of illiteracy and malnutrition. That is, I think we have to give the more importance or attention to address the issues. So based on that, added to this problem, the regional disparity also. Today we are talking about some states are highly advanced, some states are moderately advanced, and some states are still lagging, or you can say like below, highly, you can say like underdeveloped condition. So based on that, the problem of regional disparity in the infrastructure, service delivery, and social inequality in the access of basic services and natural resources is to be addressed mainly. You can say like when you want to get Viksit Bharat or equal the egalitarian society by 2047, what we given the targets. So based on that, these are all the things we have to give the much importance, particularly for achieving inclusiveness or inclusive growth in Indian scenario. So based on that, all these factors have made economic development in general and economic growth in particular to be insufficiently inclusive in terms of social groups, economic sector, and geographical region. Mainly, can like in India, where I think some people, I think the millions of people walking miles and miles to get their food. Still, I think you can like I can say the as per I think the Abdul Kalam said the millions of people still walking miles and miles to get their food, where the few people walking miles and miles to digest their food. So mainly because of that, the social inequalities, economic inequalities, are geographical. Some states, mainly for example, Northeast region, some states I think still underdeveloped. So based on that, the notably a problem of non-inclusiveness is much more than the equity or income distribution issues in view of its fundamental demands and implication for promoting growth by expanding aggregate demand at the macro context. Basis of that here mainly you can like whatever the indicators we're going to take, whether the per capita income or GDP or infrastructure or whatever you can take as a macroeconomic indicators, still there is a non-inclusiveness is taking care. One of the main important issue what you have to give priority. So mainly because, for example, sometimes I'm seeing the newspaper, the government of India given more than 12 lakhs crores loan waiver for the corporates, whereas they are not willing to give the loan waiver for the farmers. So based on that, mainly you can say like particularly where the government also they had to think about that maybe they're getting some lot of taxes, whatever getting from the corporates, but they had to think about the large proportion still almost more than 42% of the population still directly depending on agriculture scenario. So in this condition, I think you have to think about that where the majority population from the 1947 when India got independence onwards, I think more than 75% to 42%, those are depending on agriculture is directly giving the employment that also we have to think about that. So based on that, the vision document of 11th plan already I told has declared the inclusive development as the guiding principle of Indian development. When you want to develop, when you want to improve, when you want to get the highly advanced country status, when you want to see the highly inclusive growth rate, a sustainable growth rate, I think we have to see like the inclusive development as the guiding principle of Indian development policy with interlinked strategy of pathways for achieving when you want to grow faster growth rate, when you want to reduce, when you want to eliminate, when you want to you can select no the remove the poverty condition and access to essential services like health condition, education for all, health for all, the empowerment mainly women empowerment and social justice, environmental quality, gender equity, and governance. These are all the things we have to think about that along with the growing the economy, along with the development of economy, we have to think about mainly the poverty condition, access to the essential services like health, education, as well as the other the condition, empowerment of women, social justice, equal priority for each and every community, each and every religion, each and every caste, and each and every race, whatever it comes like. The social justice is also one of the important. Environmental quality also we have to maintain. I think everyone experience now the Delhi condition, and where you can select the air quality index is more than 400 to 500 points. I think you can select the very dangerous condition that also we have to address. So based on that, environmental quality, gender equity, and governance. It's mainly like the recent years, not surprisingly, even the concept of sustainable development is also being brought under the gambit of inclusive development. Mainly when you want to maintain the sustainable development, the meeting the needs of present generation without compromising the present generation and as well as the future generation without compromising this all the climatic condition or sustainable condition. So basis of that here, the even the concept of sustainable development is also being the brought under the gambit of inclusive development to broaden the scope, which includes the economic as well as the social and environmental health conditions. So basis of that here mainly, my I think argument is particularly like in case you want to get the highly economic condition, particularly economic development and economic growth, at the same time, not only seeing the GDP, not only seeing the you can like the import or exports or whatever, but along with the socio as well as environmental condition also we have to take into consideration. So based on that, now I think you can say one by one sector how is growing and how is condition taking place. Now, mainly like particularly this is I think initial times before independence. What is the situation? What we had? I think you can slide here. The India support from the colonial rule for the greater part of the 19th century and up to 1947 when India got independence. I think you can see the growth rate, the per capita income growth rate is very negligible, very less. Mainly you can say 1860 to 1885 it was just 1.1%, and 85 to 1905 I think that time maybe you can say first world war I think coming from 1918. So that time the negative growth rate was there. So after 1995 to 2025 1.3%, 25 to 50 minus 0.1%, and the entire period from 1860 to 1945 it was 0.5%. So based on that here mainly can like it is calculated that the per capita national income of India was stagnant between the 1914 to 1934 when the second world war was happened, even though the rate of population growth was not that much the times mainly like earlier. During the Second World War, when 1935 to 1944, I think Indian economy suffered heavily during this period. Bengal famine also one of the main important indicator, one of the important the drawback, particularly where India was not achieved the highly growth rate. So based on that Bengal famine, which took to toll of lives of unprecedented in the previous history, the thousands, millions of people were died. So particularly during the Bengal famine condition. At the beginning of independence, when 1947, the Indian economy was a low growth rate as per capita available of physical terms of food as well as clothes was about the lowest point in the century. Mainly you can say that time also the Indian scenario was Indian condition, the people was struggling a survival condition. And the economic decline over the 2 centuries had resulted in a situation on the eve of independence in which the food shortages were acute, the foreign exchange rate was scarce. Mainly, 1966, the India was imported almost 48 million tons of wheat from USA, that is called PL 480, Public Law 480. So that condition we are coming out, and similarly, foreign direct investment also very less. I think the people are not buying our Indian commodity, and people are not, no, the Indian government also not in position to attract the foreign direct investment or foreign, foreign like exchange rate mainly the foreign the currency we are not able to attract. So based on that, from these struggles, from this condition, the India, the economic growth, that you can like how we are going to from survival stage to how we are today, what is Indian scenario. So based on that, now I think you can say particularly where the planning period. I think 1938 the government of India initiated under the Jawaharlal Nehru endorsed mainly the planning commission we need for that. I think everything whatever the initiatives of particularly the reforms. So based on that, the National Planning Commission under chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru endorsed the objectives of eradication of the hunger and poverty and implementing the land reforms. Mainly, like I know every time the land reforms, particularly removal or abolition of the Zamindari, Raitwari, Mahalwari systems and sealing the lands and redistribution of lands. These all things taken place during the planning period. So based on that here, the Jawaharlal Nehru endorsed the objectives of eradication of hunger and poverty the land reforms implementation, the modernization of agriculture. I think, green revolution was taken place, particularly after 1966, mid 60s, and industrialization, mainly 1948 as well as 1956 policy, Mahal Nabal's policy we initiated. Based on that, how we can economic growth and economic development was into take into consideration. So based on that, the modernization of agriculture and industrialization, and also recommended setting up a planning commission in 1951 onwards. We implemented the 51 to 56 first five plan. So based on here, the first plan was modest attempt. Actually, the first initially after 1947, when India got the independence, I think the first attempt was a modest attempt, because expected somewhat at least we are going to get something. But luckily or fortunately, the first fire plan was succeeded very huge level. So based on that, the first 5 year plan was modest attempt with a focus on restoration and reconstruction of the economy, much damaged by the World War and partition of the India, mainly with Bangladesh and Pakistan and India. Emphasis was on agriculture and food production. Luckily, the time that we achieved the highest growth rate in the first 5 year plan. Where the full vision, the mainly the second 5 year plan was the second, I think, full vision of the development plan was started from the second 5 year plan. That is the Mahalanobis model was initiated. The vision included the production of capital goods, creation of heavy industry base, building of irrigation dams, roads and communication system, establishing public health facilities and education institution from primary to postgraduate level. That was one of the best. I think you can say the what in implementation was taken place. Mainly the Mahalanobis policy, particularly second 5 year plan, 1956 policy, given the robust growth in mainly industrial sector as well as the other important aspects, particularly industrial, mainly the modernization of agriculture as well as other the setup of institution, mainly education institution. So based on that, from 1951 onwards, since the Planning Commission was basically a central government initiatives, but the implementation of the most of the plans, projects, and schemes had been done through the state government. Mainly, for example, today we have 29 states and 8 UTs. But earlier, I think you can slide the 21 states or whatever they have. They used to take implementation, how whatever the money was granted to the each and every state. So based on that, but no, along with the planning commission, each and every state also having their own plan to implement for their own people. So based on that, state governments in addition prepare their own plans to cater to the specific needs of the states. But this went a long way, mainly you can select the particularly from 9 up to 2014. This went a long way in balancing the inter-regional differences and smoothing the working of federal system. Mainly, like we did, I think, lot of, I think, no, almost 12 plans, up to 13 plans we did. So there are some lacuna, there are some no you can say hiccups are taken place, but even though the successful mainly you can say like all plans was no sometimes you can say like moderate success and sometimes grand success, sometimes you can say like some failures also we faced. So based on that, this went a long way in balancing the inter-regional the differences and the smoothing the waking of the federal system. But after I think the government of India now present government, the planning commission was abolished on October 2014. I think for that, I think we started Niti Ayog, that is the National Institute of Transformation in India. I think from today, I think we are all taking care about the Niti Ayog, whatever the policy implication, whatever the condition they're taking. So based on that, that is how the planning period. And coming in the reform period, mainly can like particularly the slow economic growth, even whatever the planning commission planning, such as 5 year plans, what you taken, but sometimes I think you can slide the how this growth was not that much attractive, that not much up to the level. The slow economic growth over nearly 4 decades from 1947 to almost the 70s. Rising fiscal deficit, mainly can like particularly 1950, 1991 before. The slow economic growth over nearly 4 decades, mainly from 1950 to 1990. Rising the fiscal deficits, the high rate of inflation, and all this combined with political instability. Mainly, you can say Gujral Nanda or Moraji Desai. There are some political instability also taken place during this no this period. During the late 80s, had eroded the confidence of International Credit Agency in India's ability to manage its fiscal affairs. Mainly, for example, whenever you're approaching World Bank, whenever you're approaching the IMF, whenever you're approaching international monetary systems or monetary institutional finance institutions, mainly international finance institutions, they are not willing to give more loans for India, because there is some lacuna, some you can say the disturbances are there where the political instability and sometimes keep on changing the prime ministers, and there are some no successful the failure in planning commission. So based on that, The 1990, I think, the late P.V. Narasimha Rao, I think the former Prime Minister, the late Narasimha Rao, with Manmohan Singh as the finance minister, initiated radical measures mainly to put the economy back on the rails. Mainly, you can say, particularly from 19. That's why now even today also we're always talking about pre-reforms, post-reform scenario. So based on that, mid 1991 undertook radical measures to put the economy back on the rails. The rate of growth of money supply was controlled, and exchange rate of the rupee was adjusted downward. I think till now, I think today, I think almost we're completing 77 years of independence. Only 2 years only we got a very less surplus of balance of payment condition. Remaining 74 years we are facing the deficit financing condition, the deficit balance of payment condition. It means that our imports are higher than the exports. So based on that, these reforms produced the quick results. The annual rate of inflation came down from 17% to 7% by end of the 1992-93. And now I think you can select almost, you can select sometimes the 6.7% or I think 6.2% today at our present, I think to 6.2%. This is little higher than what RBI giving. RBI, I think they're expecting the 2 to 6% maximum you can maintain as any economy. Like no, even Milton Friedman also suggested the maintaining minimal rate of inflation is very important. So that is also very precondition. So in that condition, the foreign exchange reserves which had slid, I think you can still download from $1 billion even 1991, which is not even sufficient to maintain the imports condition for 1 week. You know the condition, $1 billion, which is not even sufficient to do the extra, means you can say transaction with international global market. So based on that, that condition to today we are having more than 590 plus $billion we have. So based on that here, how the GDP growth rate was taken place, mainly agriculture, industry and service sector during from 1950 to 2000. Decadal growth rate, I'm telling here, the decadal mainly 50 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, 2011 to 20, how the decadal growth was taken place. In agriculture, the only just 3.7%. In industry also just 3.05% because of the COVID situation, all things I think you can like. And where the service sector is showing a very good growth, mainly you can say 8.6%. That is the how is taken place. And coming to the Indian GDP, almost macroeconomic structure. You can see here because of the COVID pandemic, the devastating COVID pandemic time, I think the India registered almost negative 23.9% growth rate. Even manufacturing sector also negative growth rate, service sector to negative growth rate, except agriculture sector, they're having some statistical, mainly you can select the positive growth was registered. Though based on that, I think you can select here the negative growth rate was registered in GDP and particularly the COVID situation 2020. So with strong macroeconomic fundamentals, whatever today, for example, 2008 crisis or earlier 1991 crisis, whatever you can select in India scenario, mainly what we have the macroeconomic condition, particularly the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, as well as the Planning Commission earlier and Niti Ayog nowadays, they are taking care about the macroeconomic because see, for example, even the USA suffered a lot during the 2008 and 2009 crisis, mainly you can say Lehman Brothers. And similarly, other entire during the COVID situation, also the entire world struggled a lot, but India was survived little, at least somewhat better than other countries. So why? Because actually what today we are maintaining the macroeconomic indicators. So macroeconomic fundamentals are very strong. So basis of that, with the strong macroeconomic fundamentals, robust demand, domestic demand, mainly we have the huge demand, the market economy. The India having the very good market economy, and we are maintaining the fiscal discipline, high saving rates. Maybe in these days, I think the saving rate was declined. Earlier, it was 36% to 29.5%. Little decline, maybe because of the people are consuming more. Why? Because we know after COVID situation, people are thinking about the life is uncertain. We have to consume more. So based on that, the high saving rate earlier 36%, and the demographic dividend, almost 65% of the Indian population are youth population, a working population. That is one of the main advantages for India, mainly where the demographic dividend, India is now the fifth largest economy in the world with an estimated GDP is 3.7 trillion economy. $3.7 trillion generated by the population over 1.42 billions or crores, 142 crores. So based on that, that's what target is. By 2025, we want to achieve the 5 trillion economy. By 2030, maybe you can say 7 trillion economy. By 2047, is possible or not? I don't know, but they're thinking about 10 trillion economy to be the third largest economy in the world. So based on that here, mainly the India is among the highest young population based on economic based economies in the world will tend to grow 7.4% 2024. But luckily, what target is 7.4%. But today, the all 4 quarters, no, I think Q4 of 2024, I think we achieved 8.2% growth rate. It's just more than what expected. The 7.4% they expected, but now the 8.2 they registered. I think maybe overall though will come around 7.2 or 7.6%. So based on the supported by accommodative monetary and fiscal policy. The vitality of service sector, mainly you can say the service sector contributing more. Already I shown the data. The rising consumption, mainly the people are buying more and more, purchasing capacity is very high, and people are attracting more and more investment because the consumer demand is more. Based on that, many investors coming forward to invest more and more, expanding their companies. The both domestic and foreign market conditions, large and spatial diversified economy, mainly not only one sector contributing, one sector concentrating, the entire economy, mainly agriculture, industry, service sector, tourism, or you can say like again we're going to talk about that. The large and spatial diversified economy will contribute to the nation's growth and may also help India higher in the world GDP rank. Today already I told India is the top position in growing the economy condition, mainly the GDP rate, GDP growth rate. So based on that, how the Indian economy is going to mainly getting the economic development or economic, you can say like the sustainability is going to achieve. So based on that, what we are expecting by 2047, India want to be Viksit Bharat, means developed country, nation, mainly you can say criteria, particularly you can say the how India is going to be highly advanced country or developed country status through the promotion to the many aspects, not only one sector, not only one aspect, the many aspect is going to adding to the GDP and growing a very fast growth rate. And unfortunately, you can say, for example, one side we are growing the economy, one side we are increasing the GDP, but other side actually when compared to other countries, our per capita income, because mainly already I told 142 crores of population, where the majority income, almost 70% of income is captured by only 10% to 15, 10 to 15% of population. It means the income inequality is very high. So based on here, according to the World Bank or you can say like the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Economic Outlook, the GDP nominal per capita in India 2024 is projected 2,731. But as of now, up to March, I can say like for example, I think now the per capita is only 2,698. It means little growing. Particularly if you see, for example, 2001 to 2002, 6.7% increase. 2022-23, 4.52 increase. And again 23 to 24, 8.04% increase. But you can say, for example, the overall the per capita available per capita income is only 2,698 as of 2024 by March. But when comparing with other top 10 countries, I think we are nowhere because we are having the 141st rank. You just imagine out of 195 countries, India is holding 141st rank. It means you can select the very far from the other countries. Like, for example, I given the 10 top countries where the per capita income, maybe because their per capita income is very high. Why? Because the population is less. The GDP is more. So mainly, for example, you can select the Luxembourg is at the $1,35,221 US dollars. Where USA also almost $86,601. And you can say Netherlands, small countries, they're having the more because their population is very less. What the GDP also very less. GDP means as per their country, GDP is more. Based on that, they're having the good number, good per capita income. Why? Because the population. Whereas you can select the USA also maybe around 30 crores of population. They have almost 86,600 not one crores, not $1 means particularly per capita. So based on that, I think you have to slowly you have to grow our per capita income also. So not only the GDP numbers, absolute numbers, at the same time per capita also has to be increased in case you want to, because when the per capita income increases, automatically the purchasing capacity is going to be increased. So based on that, this is, I think you can select the one side mainly when GDP is growing very fast, per capita is not going that much. I think that also have to increase because controlling the population also one of the main important. And so based on that here, as per Niti Aayog National Multidimensional Poverty Index, mainly you can slice the Agan social indicators, the India's population living in multidimensional poverty index is 14.96%. Compromises mainly the 19.28 rural and 5.27% in urban. Mainly against the rural population, the multi-dimensional index of poverty, the rural is more than almost four times higher than the urban population, because the rural population, we know the condition, even the many people coming from rural areas, I think still almost 65% of population residing or living in rural condition, where you can say like the conditions are not that much improved when compared to urban scenario, urban sector. So based on that, the additionally according to UNICEF, over 30% of world poorest children live in India. That is another important no the aspects to address, mainly like the almost 30% of the world poorest children live in India. And the country has a high prevalence of child malnutrition and low educational attainment. That is very important to the, you can say the area what we have to address. Mainly the government also has to take the more initiative or more, you can say like the precaution things. So based on that, the children are still, I think you can say like mainly street children, or many people are not able to get the sufficient diet or sufficient nutritional food. The India ranks in UNDP Human Development Index, I think 134th ranked as per 2022 out of 193 countries, holds out a poor image of the country's socio-economic development and is also serves as the ineffective base of sustainable development in the near terms. Mainly, that's what I told. The India scenario, one side we're talking about the high GDP growth rate, one side talking about per capita income increases, but mainly the last I told, I think many people still the struggling for survival. So actually, if we see the mainly the dry regions, if you go to Vidarbha, if you go to Rayalaseema, if you go to Telangana, if you go to many places, I think that people still, I think not only that, if you go to Bihar, if you go to UP, if you go to Chhattisgarh, or you can say like Odisha, the still many people are struggling for survival. So where you can say Bihar, I think talking about now, I think the more than 50% still the BPL condition. Even 41% Odisha condition, where we're talking about celebrating the Ajadika Amrit Mahotsavam, we are talking about Viksit Bharat, but still I think the income inequality, regional inequality, social inequality is prevailing, or you can say like persisting, that to needs to be addressed, in the parliament or whatever you can say like the economic advisor. So based on that, that is very important. A total of 234 million persons are living below poverty. It means the 23.4 crores, the highest in the world according to the report released recently. I think this is not the old one. According to the report released by the UNDP and Oxford Poverty Human Development Initiatives. So their criteria, where for example the UNDP or Oxford, their criteria is different. Mainly they're talking about minimum $1.91 per day, but here 1.91 or $1.2 per day is not easy. Particularly now at almost you can say like 170 rupees per day is not possible to consumption. As per our Tendulkar or as per C Rangaran committee, only 32 rupees in rural area, 46 rupees in urban area. Those who are consuming, they're not considered poverty. So based on that, their calculation, their measurement is totally different. Where our India Niti Aayog calculation is totally different. So based on that, so basis of that only we're talking about always the poverty is a multidimensional condition. That is, the rich country with the poor people is another important. And similarly, human development. When coming to the human development condition, the India has been experiencing consistently high growth rate during the post-liberalized period. There is no doubt at all. It has achieved the excellence in several key areas and is now considered as one of the fastest growing economic of the world. That's right. There is no doubt at all. As an economist, I can say yes, India is growing very fastest in the world. Yes, 8.2% of growth rate is very much high. Despite Despite the high growth rates in GDP, the positive development, India is still among the countries with some of the lowest indicators of human development. One of the malnutrition is one of the main important. Illiteracy and poverty are the unacceptable high. The rise in income inequalities and regional disparities are also a matter of concern. So based on that, the government also has to give. So only sometimes as a common man, as you forget about the faculty or professor, sometimes common man, whenever there is election, they're giving a lot of money for the state. When election is over, when they won the election, then after that, they're not looking after anything for the state. So based on that, that is not the correct. So basis of that, although there has been an expansion in several social services like health, nutrition, education, the quality of most of these services remain poor in rural areas. Yes, there is no doubt the government of India initiating or introducing many policies, many you can say schemes like ICDS, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, health, no Ayushman Bharat. There are many programs are giving no health for all, education for all. Everything they're giving. But actually, when coming to the implementation, there are some many limitations are taking place. So based on that, the physical achievements under social services suggest that the progress has been much slower than the targeted. Yes, the given the target is very high, but when coming to the progress is going very slow like a creeper. When a creeper, I think no walks very slow. So based on that, when the target is very high, for example, today we're talking about Viksit Bharat by 2047, but when thinking about the sustainable goals, sustainable development goals, because earlier from 2015 to 2000, now to 2030, they extended. But even we don't know whether by 2030 also we are going to achieve the sustainable development goals, SDGs, a million development goals, whatever it comes like India or SDGs. I think whether you're going to achieve each and everything, 17 goals or whatever the indicators. So based on that here, mainly the physical achievement under the social services suggests that the progress has been much slower than the targeted. Failure to provide the targeted amounts of budgetary allocations to the social sector was one of the important factors in recent years. Mainly, yes, the whatever the allocation given to the each and every aspect, mainly social, where education, where health, where sanitation, where other rural development, community development, whatever they given the allocation, budget allocation was very less. Even last budget also, the allocation for subsidies also very less. The allocation for the MG Narega program was very less. So based on that, because actually when the government telling we don't have any business to do business, at least for improving the economic condition, improving the people public economic condition or people's economy, I think we had to give more allocation for the MG Narega food per work program, or you can say like other ICDS, integrated child development schemes. Similarly, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, health for all. So this I think you can say like to improve the condition. So basis of that, I think we had to give important. Where if we see the indicators of human development as per 2023 data, I think still we are facing the SDA index 134 out of 193 countries. The expectation, I think, slightly increased from 2017 to 2023, 68.8 years to 69.4 years. Infant mortality again slightly improved 34 point, I think, from means fourth NFSS, the National Family Survey, from fifth survey, I think is 25.5%. Under 5 mortality rate also is slightly increased from 49 to 43 to 29.1. Maternal mortality ratio per every 1 lakh live births 97. This also significantly you can slide we had to reduce still. The adult literacy rate 77.7% slightly improved, and means years of schooling 6.7 years, I think now slightly increased, because nowadays the KVs also they're not asking minimum 6 years had to be completed. So based on that, the means years of schooling also improved, I think mainly 6.7 years. So based on that, human development indicators still we have to do lot of the development activities or lot of initiatives to improve the condition. And coming to the main important, I think, in agriculture development inclusiveness, mainly you can say that is one of the main important things, where you can say like the almost the uneven distribution or disproportionate distribution of land holding. Though India is implementing a lot of land reforms, the implementing a lot of ceiling on lands, redistribution of surplus lands to landless laborers. But nowadays, I think you can see here as a latest survey what available 2015-16, where the marginal farmers are number of marginal farmers are increasing. The way the less than 1 hectare of land, where I think you can select the marginal farmers, small farmers, semi-medium and medium farmers, and large farmers as per national sample survey organization classification, the marginal farmers are increasing day by day because of fragmentation of land, redistribution of lands, because of nuclear. Earlier it was joint family systems breaking the nuclear families. So based on that, the marginal farmers and small farmers are increasing day by day, where large farmers, semi-medium, medium farmers are declining. But land distribution, mainly the owning or operation land holdings, the large farmers, the small, semi-medium and medium farmers capturing more lands. That is called the disproportionate or uneven or unequal distribution. So based on that, India continues to be a primarily agrarian economy. Approximately 42% of total Indian population derive or directly depending on the livelihood directly from agriculture. Even though the share of the economic output generated from agriculture has sharply declined or diminished or decelerated from to 17.8%, sometimes 18%, sometimes 90%, sometimes 20%, sometimes 14% also. It means it's a fluctuating. It is important to observe that agriculture is unique among all the sectors since it plays a dual role, providing employment as well as the producing a means of life. So based on that, today we're talking about 2023-24. We already the data is telling about almost 315.7 million tons of production was produced. So even during the devastating pandemic time, also India achieved agriculture achieved a positive growth rate because the farmers there is no leave, there is no any relax. So where so they enter the life entire life. So Indian farmers born with debt, lives with debt, and dies with debt. So based on that, the government also, I don't know why the government also not giving much importance for the farmers, mainly for their upliftment conditions. They're sometimes they're fighting for the minimum support price, sometimes they're fighting for the subsidized fertilizer, sometimes they're fighting for high yielding variety seeds, sometimes they're fighting for the market infrastructure, market levies. So every time they having the problem. So based on the thing, though the country achieved a mainstream self-sufficiency in the food grain production, in 1960-66, we imported food grains from other countries where we have the famine, where we have the drought conditions. But now, because of the contribution made by the agriculture farmers, now we have the self-sufficiency, now we have the buffer stocks, now we are surplus, we are exporting to other countries. I think just recently also I seen some Andhra Pradesh, there are some issues going on. There is, the exporting the PDS rice to other countries. I don't know whether it's reliable or not, but things are happening mainly because like now we have the sufficiency, self-sufficiency, we achieved self-sufficiency and we are now the surplus production. But unfortunately, though we have surplus production, though we have the, the self-sufficiency, but per capita availability of food grains still, I think 200 kg per year, I think maybe 600 to 700 grams per day. So which is not that much sufficient. Because of that, I think the many malnutrition, the inefficiency, you can say no malnutrition or the nutritional deficiency is taking place, anemia taking place. Many problems are coming. So based on that, here mainly it's like according to Food and Agriculture Organization, 33% of Indian population suffers from the food insecurity as measured by the chronic hunger. You just imagine where we're talking about. Yes, India has achieved the highest the food production condition, 315.6 million tons. But still the people are struggling a survival, as you can say the people are dying with hunger. This is the situation. Mainly, you can say, for example, always we can take India is going to be highly advanced countries by reaching the 10 trillion economy or 7 trillion economy, whatever. But where the people, why the people are dying hungers? So 2014 onwards, the government of India implemented a lot of food security bill also. But even though that is not coming to reaching to the needy people. So based on that, the malnutrition or malnourishment of children, stunting, wasting, and underweight, mainly you can say these are the major problems wasting as well as underweight under the 5 years as per National Family Health and Family Survey. 2019-21, almost 35.5% facing the stunting, 19.3% wasting, and the almost 32.1% underweight under the mainly concerns like as per National Health and Family Survey given recently the fifth survey. So that is, I think we have that we have to overcome. See, when you want to talk about inclusiveness, when you want to talk about sustainable development, we have to overcome the from the hunger. The no one should die with hunger. That is what actually main motive. Actually, what today we are talking about PDS or targeted PDS. There are many programs implementing, but when coming to the reality, the X means actually sometimes where there is a lacuna, there is some the problems, challenges, or you can say like the limitations are taking place. So the malnutrition among the women aged 15 to 20, 45, 49 years also almost significantly, we can say 18.7%. So where we're talking about India is a green country, but people are dying with hunger. That is one important way the social exclusion are taking place or economic exclusion is taking place. That we have to bring it to inclusiveness. And the development schemes, mainly you can like particularly what the development schemes are taking place in Indian scenario. The India started the right base approach, yes, from 2000 onwards. The India started the right-based approach during the early 2000s and gave birth to enactment of implementing the multiple acts such as right to education, there is no doubt, right to information, right to work, and right to food and right to social security. Yes, we're giving the, like, for example, earlier also we have the many slogans like Make in India, Stand Up India, Start Up India, Signing India. There are many. But when coming to the reality, the right to education, yes, each and every one have the right to the studies. Right to Information Act, I think everyone knows about that. Right to work. Say, actually, I had to know. Actually, we are not asking freebies. We're asking the employment. We're asking something like providing either self-employment or whatever the employment if available is there. When the people are willing to work, when you're going to provide the work, I think the people will not demand for any previous. So right to work, right to food, and right to social security. Right to social security also very important these days. I think everywhere you're seeing in the newspaper there are many crimes are taking place. The Right to Food and Act provides coverage of up to 75% of total population and up to 50% of urban population and receiving the subsidized food grains under target public. There is no doubt at all. Even Mizoram or Nagaland or Manipur or no, this northeast region, every family they're getting, whether they belongs to rich also, they're getting the PDS rice, whether they're using, they're consuming, or they're feeding for the pigs, whatever, doesn't matter. But yes, almost 70% of the rural population, 50% urban population, they're getting the PDS system. Apart from that, the National Food Security Act, the India's Rural Employment Guarantee Program, that is MG Narega, that Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. So earlier when it was started 2004, it was implemented very grand success. I think that everyone talks about that. But nowadays, I think the allocation of budget allocation was reducing because of that people are not getting the much employment also. So based on here, the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Guarantee Program or Guarantee Scheme or whatever it's like has been ranked the world largest public work, providing social security net to almost 15% total country population. That I think you have to enrich or that you have to enhance. And midday meal scheme mainly for students, children's, mainly you can select government schools. Midday meal scheme has been classified as the biggest school feeding program, benefiting almost 105 million beneficiaries all over the India. That is also one of the main important where the government implementing or initiating the inclusiveness for the entire the country. Similarly, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, I think that it was started in 2014. It is also one of the main important, I think now I think reaching almost 50 crores of accounts. I think I'm going to talk about that. Another one slide is there. The PMJDY is one of the main important program. Because of that, the financial literacy or financial inclusion was taking place. So more than 50.7 crores of accounts were generated, I think within this 10 years. You just imagine. So earlier we don't have that much, but because of this program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, I think now though we are having more than 50.7 crores of accounts were generated. I think I'm going to talk about that. And Atal Bihari Pension Yojana also one of the mainly, you can like here the people ranked as the second largest unconditional cash transfer of social security program. Because of this program, now the financial inclusion, financial, you can like the literacy is improving. People are knowing about what I had to get, what is my right to get from the government. So based on that, development scheme was also one way or other way they're giving or boosting to bring the inclusiveness in Indian scenario. And other one, the financial inclusion, that's what I'm telling. So at present, I think we have almost 137 banks. Out of 137 banks, I think the 12 banks belongs to 12 banks, government sector bank, PSUs, main public sector banks, and 21 private sector banks, and 45 foreign sector banks, and 95 regional rural banks, and around 6 banks related to small financial institutions, small financial banks, and 4 banks payment banks. So altogether 137 banks we have today in India. And with almost 10,925 branches, we have approximately 2,34,244 ATMs functioning in Indian scenario, mainly to include the financial inclusion, to whether deposits, accumulating deposits, or allocating the funds, whatever you can say, mainly the motives of banking system. So almost and 22.74 lakhs banking outlets in villages as on March 2022 we have. That is also very significantly changes. And 13,462 crore digital transaction worth of 3,344 lakhs crores was recorded, particularly last year, 2023. That's what I'm telling. The Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, National Mission for Financial Inclusion, completes 9 years of successful implementation. More than 50 crore beneficiary banked. More than 50 crores beneficiary banked under PMJDY. Around 56% Jandan accounts holders are women and around 67 Jandan accounts in rural areas, semi-urban areas. Total deposits balances under PMJDY account stands for 2 lakhs 3,505 crores. It's a very much significant. You can select here how much changing. And 33.98 crore rupee cards was issued under PMJDY accounts. About 6.26 crores account holders receive direct benefit transfer, maybe either 500 or 2000 rupees through the Raitu Mitra, Raitu Bharosa, whatever. So almost 6.2 crores the account holders receive the direct benefit transfer DBT from the government under various scheme. The adults with no bank account, I think there is one again still 17% of people still not having any account. Adults with no bank account in India are 17%. That mainly because of lack of money or perceived cost of accounts, mainly going to the town to maintain the accounts and distance for to financial institutions. And mainly, for example, transaction costs, everything we have to bear because going and coming, mainly the poor people. So that is only 17% almost. It means that almost 83% of the total Indians are having adults. I'm not talking about the small kids. Adults, they're having the 83%, they're having the accounts either through either public sector banks or private sector bank, or you can say like regional rural banks, or no, the small finance banks or payment banks. So based on that, I think now the financial literacy is improving every day, day by day. They knows how to operate, how to get the money, whether how to receive the money, no, whatever the receiving money, they everything the people are knowing. So based on that, the finance inclusion and inclusiveness also another important area. What today contemporary issues, what we have to discuss, that is also one important area. And along with that, I think industrial development also, how the industrial development is giving the inclusiveness in Indian economy. Mainly, you can strike industrial development, particularly now we are talking about the 4.0. So mainly, you can select particularly the earlier 4.1 for so industrial sector 0.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can select, we are talking about exponential technologies we have. So now I think you can select the reform areas, mainly from 1956 onwards we are having the, you can select the high advanced technology or the exponential technology. We are having not talking about the artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, things of internet. There are many other development activities are coming out. So based on here, mainly the industrial development is an important driver of employment, growth, and poverty reduction in developing country like India, where there is no doubt at all. Because actually always keep on depending on agriculture is also not good for the development perspective. So based on that, we have to simultaneously we have to improve. Because of that, I think today we are talking about almost 30% of employment, 30% of employment opportunities getting from the industrial sector. And even the contribution also almost you can say like that 29 to 30% we're receiving from the industrial sector. So based on that, at the early stage of transition from agrarian economy to a modern economy, the manufacturing sector in the typical developing economy has greater potential to absorb the surplus labor compared to the service sector, which is dominated by the informal economy. Mainly today also, if you see, almost 83% of the farmers are informal. So based on that, mainly you can say like nowadays, non-farm economy is growing, very drastic changes are taking place, robust growth is taking place. The India is gradually progressing on the road of Industry 4. I think mainly can like through the Government of India initiative like the National Manufacturing Policy, which aims to increase the share of manufacturing sector 25% by 2025 next year. So based on that, sometimes it is that more than 25% also. But actually, they had to maintain at least minimum 25% of GDP we had to receive from the industrial sector, where because though India is agrarian economy, the agro-based industries are playing a very important, vital, significant role in the promoting or processing of economic development. Over the next 10 to 15 years, mainly what the achievement, what the target is, the labor force in India will increase 32% who are not sufficiently skilled and employable by fresh entrants to the workforce of 104.6 2 million in addition to what we have today existing 298.25. It means altogether almost more than 400 millions people, 40 crores of population. We are going to, I think, we need labor, the one who is not having the skill. Because of that, now the government of India also giving much importance about ITIs, that is industrial training institutions. Similarly, IITs, IIMs, NITs, central universities, vocational courses. Now the NEP also we're giving the different courses, multidisciplinary courses. So based on that, mainly it's like to meet the needs, the skilled labors. I think the government also giving a lot of training institution, training programs, mainly the IITs, ITIs, industrial training institutions. There are many other things. So based on that, when you want to promote, when you want to enhance, when you want to enrich the industrial sector, mainly you can select through the promoting, through the expanding, through the you can select developing the skilled labor. I think you can select the industrial development is not a very big task for the government of India. So based on that, to enhance the demographic dividend where you have the youth population highest, it is critical to improve the employability of the youth through the skill development. Because of that, mainly, for example, the many industries, they're searching for the skilled labor. Where Indian economy is a green economy, the people are not having much knowledge about the industry. I think now the government of India, even after 10th class, they can join directly ITIs. They can get the lot of skills like you can make a diesel mechanic or fitter, electricians or carpenter. There are many things. I think they're teaching, giving the training. They can work in the industries. That is the industrial development. How is going to increase the inclusiveness of the many people bringing to the employability or employment conditions. So that is another important aspects what we have to give concern or consider the give priority to promote industrial means inclusiveness in the Indian economy. And other one is, I think you can say here the continuous for that. I think what is the growth rates what we are having as per 2023 financial year. So mainly mining and quarrying, the manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply, other utility services, construction. How you can select growth rate also taking place. No, you can select 9%, 4.7%, and 6.9% mainly the the gross value added growth in 2023 over 22, and where you can select real gross value added growth in 23 over 2020. So 9.8%. So based on that here, the India has set a high ambition for electric vehicles. Nowadays, everyone talking about Ola, everyone talking about there are many, Tesla, electrical vehicles are market and hopes to become a hub for rapid electronic changes. Mainly the charges also. Government of India mainly when we're talking about the G20 presidency where the Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam 2023 were organized in the Indian Bhavan mainly can slide the Delhi. They're giving the much importance about this all the electrical vehicle are mainly to become the hub for the Indian scenario because market economy India having the huge the population. So for that, I think we have to make the hub for the rapid electronic charges or vehicle batteries. Indian automobile industry is growing an exponential rate, providing great chances for the empowering the future of its industry. Indian steel industry plays a critical role in the global shift of low carbon economy by stopping the thermal coal to produce steel because of now in case we want to make the automobile industry again we have to make the steel industry. Aviation business, mainly you can select the flights or whatever you can select the no aviation. Aviation business is the one of the most important aspects and its growth 31.72% annually from January to August 23. The domestic airlines carried almost 119.06 million passengers up to from 88.9 millions marking a substantial increase. Particularly, considering the how the 38.27% growth was taken place in aviation. The consider the people carrying from the one place to other place, even India to other country or India within the India also, how the passengers are traveled. And real estate is another important area where you have to give the important, particularly the real estate industry in India is experiencing a boom in construction and encouraging because of rapid urbanization. The lot of chances, lot of you can like the possibilities are there to expand the urbanization. So based on that, fair you can get many people are getting the employment, whether maybe the mestris or laborers, they're getting a lot of even in Mizoram also everywhere the new construction was taking place. That is also the area where you can like bringing more labors into inclusiveness. And other one is network, mainly you can say like infrastructure. I think nowadays the government of India under the Minister of Transportation, the Nitin Gadkari, actually is the one of the efficient minister of what I observed. I think he's giving a lot of importance for the national highways. Mainly you can say like every corner, every each and every corner, whether international or national or within the country, very growth. I think a lot of growth is taking place, mainly road and networking condition. The government of India has embarked on an ambitious journey to revolutionize the country's infrastructure landscape, aiming to bolster economic growth, enhance connectivity, and improve the quality of life for its citizens. Mainly with I think you can select what are the major achievements. We have the Statue of Unity, the world largest statue. We have the world largest highway tunnels, the Atal Tunnel. We have Chenab Bridge, world highest railway bridge. Georgia Tunnel, Asia's longest tunnel we have. So based on here, with the focus on modernizing transportation network, upgrading urban amenities and expanding digital infrastructure, the government has launched several transformative initiatives. So what are the initiatives taken and how much you completed? You can say here. The National Highway Network has expanded 60%, almost 91,287 kilometers in 2014 when the NDA government was initiated the first time to 2023. Last year, it increased to 1,46,145 kilometers by the year 2023. So you just imagine how much almost you can say like almost double. So based on that here, this is one of the main important, I think, achievements where the national highways are improved. Similarly, the length of four-line national highways increased 2.5 times from 18,000 to 387 kilometers to 46,179 kilometers as of November 2023. This is also significant contribution. And 3.7 lakhs kilometer of road constructed under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and 7.55 lakh kilometers of rural road have been completed as compared to 3.8 lakhs from 2013-14. So here 7.55 lakhs when compared to 3.81 lakh, it means become double. So economic corridor development, inter corridors, feeder roads development, national corridors efficiency improvements, the international connectivity roads. There are many programs are taking place. Coastal and port connectivity roads, expressway under Bharatmala Pariyojana, almost 34,800 kilometers of national highways length was planned, and Phase 1, I think almost 26,480 kilometers, 76% have been awarded for construction with completion of almost 15,549 kilometers. I think maybe the next within 2-3 years, we're going to complete the target, 34,800 kilometers under the Bharatmala Pariyojana. That is, I think you can say like how the road connectivity is going to bring connecting the people from each and every corner is one of the another important you can slide the economic development aspects in Indian scenario. That is also very important. Along with that, as of November 28 2024, recently the data, more than 136 Vande Bharat train services are operational across the railway. Under Amrit Bharat station schemes, about 1,318 stations selected for redevelopment. The India aviation sector has witnessed significant expansion with 545 routes operationalized under the Udan scheme, aimed at improving the air connectivity to the unreserved regions. 839 projects worth investment approximately 5.8 lakh crore for implementation under the Sagarmala, the sea coastal or river coastal, the Sagarmala programs, waterways, out of which 241 projects worth 1.22 lakhs crores have been completed. A total of 171 projects worth 4,525 crores have been supported by the partial funding, and more than 55 projects have been completed as of November 2024. The recent data what you can give the how the development was taking place. So based on that, when economic development, mainly the connectivity is also one of the main important, particularly among the people, among the among the entire the country. So based on that, for economic purpose, economic development condition, the road and networking also plays a very important, significant role. And other one is national priorities, mainly particularly you can say like imports. National priorities for the imports, mainly, for example, these days, I think after you can say the pandemic conditions, there is some slightly sluggish, means you can say like the decline are decelerated, but I think again improving, particularly nowadays. From being primarily a green economy to becoming a significant player in the world trade arena, The India's growth trajectory is a testament to its resilience and adaptability. Mainly from 1948, when the India became the member in the GATT, that General Agreement Trade and Tariffs, and after that, India was the founder member in WTO in 1995, January 1st. So after that, there is a lot of negotiations taking place. The World Trade Organization negotiation. I think Doha round is still pending. The Cancun the failure, Doha round is still pending. They are not taking the no initial, I think. But recently, I think our respected Prime Minister visiting many countries. Recently, also Italy Prime Minister. There are many other Prime Minister, even presidents also met and asking to collaborate or MOU or records like the development activities are taking place, particularly to no encouraging our export as well as no to bilateral no bilateral agreements as well as the multilateral agreements are no there's many MOUs are taking place. So based on that, here mainly the imports are particularly when talking about national priorities and imports, the nation has leveraged demographic dividend, technological advancement, and experiment entrepreneurial spirit to curve a niche in various sectors, including information technology, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing, because we are always giving the much importance about technology transfers. So based on that, we are always giving the much priority. The India plays a pivotal role in bolstering the country's trade relationship with a number of nations and creating an opportunity to attract investment. Mainly, for example, always Prime Minister going and visiting the countries to invite the NRIs and inviting the other foreign direct investments to come to India, where you can get expand. Since we have the market economy, since we have the huge the market demand, similarly we are ready to provide infrastructure facilities and other facilities, other infrastructure. So based on that, we're always trying to attract more and more foreign investment. So based on that, the given its substantial infrastructure improvements, the favorable business environment, skilled labor force, and bargaining the middle class consumer base, India is increasingly the importation of high quality goods in the global market. So based on that, one side we're exporting, as the other side, the import also we're giving the priority. But unfortunately, India is still importing more than what we're exporting to other countries. Based on that, the balance of payment condition, still we are facing the deficit condition. You see the export condition, how we can select here. The India exports showing the remarkable performance after pandemic, logging record high levels in 2022, with the merchandise export rising from more than 50% and service exports to 120%. That is a very significant contribution these days. You can see the trend line also how it's increasing. Only 2019-2021, it was decline and negative growth was registered, but after that we are performing very good because of a lot of initiatives or a lot of initiative taken by the government of India. India is initiating an effort to establish relationship with many countries through the multilateralism and free trade agreements with Australia and United Arab Emirates (UAEs). India signed trade deals with the United States, UK and Brazil, European Unions, Canada, South Korea, Australia, South Africa, Indonesia, Mexico, and many sub-Saharan African countries, and Italy are many countries also. The India ranks ninth among the G20 countries in total trade. I think you can say USA 1,662 billions in goods and services in 2023. The top three spots mainly you can select where the EU 17,151, the highest situation, followed by China 7,183, where USA they're having the tie up with 6,933, but India is having the total trade. I think you can select $1,662 billion. We are exporting the commodities to other countries. That is, I think you can say like how even agriculture or manufacturing, a small scale industry, a tiny industry, a service sector exports all together, we are exporting more than 1,662 billion US dollars every year. So based on that, this is also significant. I think maybe you can reach, particularly you can like the way the US they're having the 6,900, maybe very soon you're going to achieve up to that mark. So based on that, the exports also one of the main important where to promoting the economic development and bringing the inclusiveness, because of everyone has to contributing to produce the commodity to pro export other countries. And this is another important one. Actually, unfortunately, the private investment is declining day by day in India, where you can like when compared to earlier, the failure of private investment and private gross fixed capital formation as the percentage of GDP as current prices witness a steady decline since 2012, and the government has been hoping that the large Indian corporations would set up in and around the investment condition mainly you can select. In fact, in 2019, the center slashed corporation tax from 30 to 22%. Mainly, the government giving a lot of incentives, reducing the tax rate also, tax slabs for the corporates also. But I think no people are not coming. Maybe because of I think COVID scenario, this trend is not that much increasing. So based on that, the reasoning in low private consumption expenditure as the primary reason behind the failure of private investment, mainly private consumption expenditure is reducing. So based on that, the private investment to pick up over the last decades, and particularly since the onset of pandemic scenario, even government also given almost 12 lakhs crores worth of the loan waiver or whatever the mafia for the many investors, mainly many people, corporate business people. The inflation had a negative impact. Mainly, for example, India is facing one of the main important macroeconomic condition is inflation, hyperinflation, or you can say like the high level inflation. The inflation had its negative impact on consumption. High interest rate also raises the real cost of capital, which leads to dampens the level of private investment. The government of India, even as I am also a victim, I took the home loan. I'm waiting for the reducing the repo rate. Based on that, the banks also is going to reduce the rate of interest for home loans. But actually, almost 12 months, this entire year, they are just maintaining the status quo. They are not at all changing. So based on that, because of that also, the high rate of interest, similarly, the negative impact consumption mainly against like inflation also high inflation, the people consumption levels are declining. So because of that, the private investors is not positioned to come forward to invest to set up more and more industries or more set expanding their in the existing industry. So based on that, why private investment is receiving low interest, low importance. And other one is macroeconomic policy. Also, we can say, like, for example, whatever today the government of India is taking the important policies like strong and sophisticated economic policies, emerging growth sectors, capital flows are increasing. The other important one is external debt in India. That is also one important thing. Actually, nowadays, almost 58% of total budget, total GDP. We're having the 58%, almost 58% of total debt as per GDP. Mainly, you can say like it's very high. You can say like here the data also tells about the average 3 lakhs 31,874.78 US million dollars 1991 increased 6 lakhs 48,091 in 2023, and highest you can see here the 6 lakh 82,054 US million dollars at as of second quarter of 2024. That means day by day the burden, the day by day the external debt, borrowing from other country, borrowing from IMF, borrowing from US World Bank, borrowing from International Monetary System, international financial institutions, is giving the lot of burden. More than 30, 23%, 26% of total budget we are paying for rate of interest. Comparing with other countries, okay, because USA they're having more than 100% of burdens. But actually, here, when you're generating the economy, when you're improving the economic condition, this one also has to reduce. That one has to take into consideration. Mainly, they have to give importance. So, based on that, even foreign exchange reserve also, when 1991 it was only $1 billion. Now, I think you can say Indian foreign reserve increased 590 the $1 million, 5,90,700 US million dollars we achieved. So based on that, there is also one of the good, I think, indication where we are having, I think, as for August 30, 6 lakhs 83,987 million dollars what we have today at present. I think you can like the maybe it's slightly reduced, maybe it reduced slightly, but it is already 6 lakhs 50,000 million dollars we have. That is also a significant contribution of what we have. Now we are in safe mode. And another important area where we are getting a lot of opportunities, mainly you can say there was a lot of discussion in the G20 conference presidency also, where the tourism industry, one of the main, you can see the data also, the no coming departures and arrivals, how many people are coming from foreign countries, where mainly you can say from 2016 to 2019, or I think I was not given up to latest data, but I given up to 2019. You see the how the growing, the no both departures as well as arrivals. The tourism industry in India goes beyond being a mere display on the nation's diverse colors. No, diverse color service serves as the powerful catalyst for the economic development. There is no doubt at all. Because of that only, last slide I told the foreign exchange reserves are increasing because of it. People are attracting more and more people to tourist people also. India is emerged as a global leader in sustainable and local tourism and stands as the captivating and extraordinary tourist destination. The many people are attracted to come to India also. India's G20 presidency promotes tourism and hospitality industry and taken significant steps to develop sustainable tourism through the initiatives like the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and Green Tree Certificate Program. Because of that, every year, every month, we are giving the important Swachh Bharat. Mainly, Mizoram University also every month, last Friday, we are giving for Swachh Bharat mission. Swachh Bharat or Swachh Mission, you can say Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, making a very clean and green condition. That is also one of the main important. Because of that, if you go to Sikkim, if you go to Delhi, if you go to many places, I think we can attract more and more the foreign tourists to visit India, mainly to get lot of foreign exchange reserves. So based on that, the robust expenditure and infrastructure development emerges as the crucial component and facilitating the transportation networks, accommodation facilities, and tourist amenities. These are all the many things. The value of the travel and tourist sector's contribution to the Indian economy by the end of 2023, it was 2 lakhs 1,000. I think almost you can say 201.37 billion accounted 6% of total GDP. That is also very significant contribution. Only tourism industry contributing 6% of total GDP in Indian scenario. And mainly can like renewable energy also. This is also another important priority what we given, particularly in G20 presidency in India, where 2023 we organize. I think clean energy as well as the mainly the green energy or renewable energy consumption also an important. The rapid warning plan requires that major global economies shift their focus towards a clean and green energy. How we can see the particularly we're importing or you can say like using the final consumption function. So based on that, India's installation non-fossil fuel capacity is increased 396%. I think mainly you can say like last 2 years. The installed solar energy also, I think, SECI, the Solar Energy no Corporation of India, where they're giving the distributing the solar energy. The installed solar energy capacity has increased 30 times in last 9 years and stands almost 82.63 gigawatts as of 2024 April. So based on that, there are also very important things. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy is implementing the National Green Hydro missions. That is also we given the importance about almost 19,744 crores. The overreaching the objective of mission is make India the global hub for production, usage, and export of green hydrogen. So mainly because of that, I think these days the you can say like mainly the G20 presidency, even the Brazil also given the importance about this whole energy scenario as well as sustainable inclusion also one of the main important theme. The social inclusion also one of the main important theme in the 28th G20 presidency was held in Rio de then the Brazil conditions. There is also another important one, renewable energy. And one of the main important things we have to think about the inflation. Controlling inflation is one of the main important things. As of October 2024, India's consumer price index inflation is 6.21%. This is more than what expected RBI. That is actually though this is jump 14 months high. The corresponding inflation rates in rural urban you can say like 6.68 and 5.62 respectively. The food inflation also very much high. This is 10.87%. Again, yes, I think earlier you can say 9.2%, 5.66% in August. You just imagine almost double in within 3 months. August to December, I think October, only within 2 months, I think you can say 10.87%. That is very high. No expectation RBI. I think no, we are expecting as a human being, we're expecting the RBI is going to cut the repo rate or we're going to reduce the no the inflation, all things, but unfortunately, it's not happening. No expectation from RBI to cut the rates even the next review meeting. I think every 3 months they have the review meetings and midterm reviews, monetary policies. But this time also we are no we disappointed because this time to no any changes of rate of interest or repo rates also. The public, as like me and you, the public was expected RBI will cut the repo rate in October 2024, assuming US federal cut rates in September. But unfortunately, or for no whatever you can say, like the Reserve Bank of India was kept the benchmark interest rate unchanged for one more time. It means even almost last 14 months, they're not changing any the repo rate scenario. We are paying the same rate of interest. We're paying same rate of interest for the fixed rate of fixed deposits or whatever you can slide the home loans or gold loans or any other loans. That is mainly the, one of the main important things what RBI is not taking care about the reducing the repo rate or reducing the rate of interest, soaring food inflation. And unemployment is another important concern where if you want to see the particularly inclusiveness, unemployment is one of the important things mainly even during the COVID scenario, almost 45 in years, the highest growth rate is registered. I think you can see here 2020 where the highest unemployment was increased. After that, there is slightly declining or decelerating, but still I think we have to be taking care about the very important serious things we have to think about unemployment, how we're going to take. Similarly, these days, gig economies, GAG means mainly you can say partial employment or part-time employment or contract employment or the time-based. This type of, I think, gig economy also very important mainly these days. Particularly according to latest data from CMI, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, the unemployment rate in India stood 7.8%. declined 8.5% 2000 August 24. The labor participation rate as well as 41.6%. Employment rate fell, I think you can say 38%. Youth continue to grapple with soaring unemployment rates, mainly considered particularly as per International Labour Organization. 83% of jobless population belonging to this demographic people in India. Youth unemployment and unemployment stacked between the 2029, 2000 to 2019, but saw a decline in COVID pandemic scenario. So based on that, mainly since we're talking about the advanced technology, exponential technology, technological advancement have also affected the demand for skills and types of employment, with young people being the better represented. Mainly because of that, I think everywhere we are talking about the unemployment scenario is increasing because of the technology displacing or replacing the human labor. And here you can say government debt. I think already I told, I think the Indian government debt is already, the central government debt was 173 lakhs crores. It means for 58.1% of GDP. That is a very too much high. I think you can see here from 2021 onwards, the debt was increasing. That is very important. I think we had to be concerned. So based on that, that is also another important. I think time is approaching. So based on that here, mainly the debt was another important concern we had to give importance. And here the net official development assistance aid what you're receiving, particularly you can see here, the India has been active participant in various multilateral groups over years, including G77, G20, and WTO and GATT, whatever you can slide. In between 1980s, India was the largest global recipient foreign aid. But nowadays, I think you can select increasing had come down 0.09%. In the same time, the country development cooperation intervention in the form of concessional finance, technical assistance, humanitarian endeavors, trade, investment, and allied diplomatic activities have substantially grown. So based on that, you can like net official development assistance are increasing day by day. That is also one of the important concern. And here, I think along with that, since we are the members, we are not only borrowing from money, again, we're giving to other people also. Mainly, you can see sub-Saharan countries and neighboring countries, SAARC countries, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation countries, as well as Asian countries, as well as sub-Saharan countries. We are giving, helping them also. Not only borrowing, at the same time, we are giving, you can see here, the beneficiary countries of Indian lines of credit. This is also important. So based on that, you can see Bangladesh, they're getting the huge benefit from the India, followed by Sri Lanka, Nepal, Maldives, Mongolia, Tanzania, even Russia also taking something like, so based on that here, the Indian development and economic assistance schemes overreaching the framework for the country's development cooperation was launched in 2003 and 4. It aims to extend the concessional lines of credit to developing partner countries. Whoever we are having the partner with other countries, we are also helping them to, in some extent, whatever our capacity we are submitting. But unfortunately, these days, I think the terms between the Indian and Bangladesh is not good. But already we given the assistance of more than $7,862 university, US dollars were given. That is how the Indian cooperation taking place with other countries, neighboring countries, or other the member countries. So coming to the conclusion, I think you can select here, well, we see nothing almost the majority aspects what we discussed regarding economic development and inclusive growth. The building an inclusive society is a multifaceted process supported by the fundamental elements to ensure the full participation and dignity of all the members. Mainly you can select when you want to talk about the inclusive society, including egalitarian society or inclusive society, the ensuring that everyone has equitable access. Mainly that is what we are always thinking about. Everyone has equitable access to opportunities to all aspects of life, from education to employment or civic participation. Active participation in the driving force behind social cohesion and collective progress, and it requires the commitment of individuals, communities, governments, and organizations at all the levels. So based on that, the government of India or state government or even ourselves, the human beings, we have to give the much priority about the inclusiveness for each and every corner. So based on that, the stronger global economy, more resources for development, improved food security, better chances for employment, supporting renewable energy technology, the boosting foreign investment, encouraging trade liberalization, enhancing foreign regulation, tackling climate change had a favorable effect on economic development. So based on that, these all things we have to give the priority as a macroeconomic indicators. The government of India giving the utmost the priority to promote the Indian economy. When nation's economy flourishes, the country's stake in global geopolitics and geoeconomics also grow. So based on that, through maintaining the diplomatic relationship and strategic interest to play a very important role in development dynamics of any country. So based on that, India, what they're doing, this all playing a diplomatic relation with all the countries. We are not fighting with anyone. We are not, though we have some no disturbances with the neighboring countries, but always we are trying to make a peaceful as well as diplomatic relation with any country. So based on that, the institutional framework of Indian development cooperation continues to be the fragmented and need consideration. Effective implementation of laws and policies promoting equality and protecting the rights of all the individuals, ensuring the right to education, right to health, right for all. Mainly, it's like ensuring the physical and digital accessibility for people with disabilities, encouraging the active participation in democratic and social process, and empowering the marginalized community, providing them with the tools to fully participate society will create inclusive society. So based on that, the everyone has to play a very important role to bring the sustainable development, or you can say like what are the inclusive society, in case we want to see the India is the one of the best country in the world. The undoubtedly, there is no doubt at all, India has made a significant progress in achieving inclusive growth, but the challenge still remains. While there has been a reduction in poverty and there is improvement in the education and healthcare, disparities and inequalities still persist. So efforts are going on to address these issues through various government initiatives and policies aimed at promoting inclusive development and ensuring we all has to ensure equal opportunities for all the citizens. With this, I think I'll conclude. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, sir, for a very detailed presentation, full of
Thank you.
data.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Quite engaging session from your side.
Sir.
There are many questions also.
Yes, sir.
So, do you want to read yourself or should I read it? It
So
is in
where I didn't
Q&A
see.
box. Q&A below. Or I can read if you ask.
Yes, sir.
You got.
Uh, how can India ensure that the rapid digitalization of economy is inclusive for marginalized communities? Yes. See, actually, after 19 to 2016 onwards, when demonetization was taken place, after that, I think everyone, I think almost majority now we're having the Android mobile smartphones also. So since they have the smartphones and Android mobiles, everyone, I think nowadays we see the banks, the people are not crowding in the banks. May everyone sending the money, or you can say like even paying all the transactions through the digital only. So based on that, I think what you can say like even PMJDY, the Jan Dhan Yojana also, whatever they're getting the small amounts through their DBTs, no direct benefit, direct this cash deposits. So they're doing mainly, for example, in case if they know how to scan, how to do. So based on that, so nowadays I think you can say like almost 70 to 80% of transaction made by the digitalization or digital transactions only. So now, in case when you know operating, when you know how to operate the system, when you know operating the mobiles for paying or receiving, then there is not much difficult, because actually once the literacy rate is increasing, the people are knowing the financial literacy also increasing. There are many trainings are taking place by the government of India as well as the institutions. So in this condition, maybe how we can India ensure the digital means rapid digitalization mainly can like. So based on that, today we're talking about the GSTs are increasing. Why? Because actually the directly we are paying through the mobile, paying through the digital transactions. So based on that, the government of India directly the benefits going to the no government accounts. So in these conditions, whether the belongs to SC or belongs to ST or belongs to marginal community or deprived community, so nowadays mobile is almost every, even each and every corner you can find. So based on that, here though there is no doubt at all whether the person belongs to marginalized, the person belongs to higher caste, the person belongs to rural, or person belongs to urban. So when we have the device, I think nowadays is not much difficulty. The people are getting the information. Even the within the village or within the the community, the people are explaining or giving the training how to operate. So in that condition, there is no problem at all. I don't think so much problem is taking place mainly digital. Maybe there are some some limitations are there mainly because they don't know how to tackle with cyber crimes or cyber securities. But Nowadays, digitalization is not a much difficulty for even the less educated people also. That I think you can like, where people are getting the more awareness about how to operate, how to, because everyone even is a professor or, even the rare, means agriculture, you can like the animal, rearing animals, the person also more using the mobiles. So he is understanding how to do the operation of the digital payment. So based on that, I think there is not much difficult. So we can say like, how we are going to do. And what is your opinion on AI rise? See, actually, this is the initial now. I think no, because we are seeing some impact, mainly artificial intelligence. Mainly, you can say like exponential technology. One side, I think the high advanced technology, you can say like giving a lot of no positive impact. At the same times, there are some negative impact also. So that's what actually now already I told in the lecture also, when the government is telling, government is having no business to do business. So because of that, they're giving the much importance about the no MSMEs. You can start your own business activity. You can start your own startup. The government is ready to pay some loans, maybe Mudra loans or 58 minutes loans or whatever other loans. So based on that, I think you can select the job displacement means, for example, where you had one side you had to accept the no the technology, but at the same time, because actually when you want to meet the global the competitions, obviously you had to no update your knowledge. But at the same times, losing employment is there, but at the same time, how what are the alternatives we have to find? How we are going to find? So mainly, for example, that's what I told. I think the starting their own startups, stand-ups, or what you can say like small business activities, or you can say like the mainly nowadays no the people entering in agriculture also, because actually agriculture also in case along with the AI in agriculture labor utilization also taking place. So based on that, one side I think we had to accept the AI, at the same time we had to find some alternatives to overcome the labor displacement or job displacement to get yourself to into the working condition. So based on that, you can like yes, the no technology is a boon or bane, sometimes both. So there is one no cursing as well as blessings also. So nowadays, I think the people are getting a lot of advanced technology to do faster than earlier. That is advantage. At the same time, for example, now you can select corporate farming. Earlier we don't have corporate farming. So nowadays, earlier we don't have any reverse tenancy. Now the small farmers they're giving back their land, small piece of land to corporate farmers. Why? Because they're unable to why we can no they're unable to pay or unable to offer the technology what is available in today markets. So in that conditions, mainly you can select the high technology. The corporate farmers are using the tillage machines, tillers or power tillers or harvesters or threshers or winnowers, and they're doing within a day some 100 acres. Whereas earlier, 1 acre we need 30 people. So based on that, I think we have to accept, because to meet something, some benefits, obviously we have to accept artificial intelligence. But at the same time, you have to see the alternative, the condition where you can place or where you can gain or where you can get the other opportunity. That is no what my observations actually. But maybe in future though, what I think though, maybe what are the alternatives things also we have to find. I think maybe slowly we'll come to know, or maybe sometimes no artificial intelligence, I think maybe some extent they're going to stop also, we don't know. But anyhow, that one side we have to accept as no technology, exponential technology, but other side we have to find other ways to get in the jobs also. And the other one is there are several indicators of inclusive development such as income, gender, caste, religion, race. Do you think the government should focus on the simultaneously development in each of these indicators, or should priority given to some indicators, and why to do the thing? So yes, actually, see, for example, one is main important is education and health. See, when the people are getting the more employment, see, actually, here the social deprivations or caste-based, discrimination or religion-based discrimination or any, this, racial, whatever. I think maybe because of innocence or ignorance or illiterates, whatever. So main principal components mainly, for example, educations. See, for example, within the universities or within the colleges, I think you can see the discrimination is will be less when compared to go to the interior places, rural areas. So government is not necessary to tackle each and everything. Actually, main thing is mainly can like when the people are getting the highly educated, automatically this all will go out. So what my observation? So it doesn't matter actually, not necessary to tackle with the gender, tackle with the caste, tackle with the religion, tackle with the race, not necessary. Only thing is the main important essential things we have to focus. The mainly, for example, right to education. So why today the government schools, the no teachers, only one teacher they have to teach for all. And if you go to some regions, even the one who qualified teacher was not working. The qualified teacher is appointing a proxy teacher. He is earning 80,000 rupees. He is paying 5,000 rupees. The unemployed he is paying and he is teaching for them. That I think we have to give the more priority. That we have to control it and giving the best education or best health condition for the people. Then automatically this all the deprivation or you can bring the inclusive growth and the inclusive development there. So mainly you can say sustainable development goals. Poverty we have to overcome. Education is very important. And similarly, along with that, health is very important. Along with the environment also, we have to give the awareness, all things. But inclusiveness mainly, you can select particularly when you want to add all the people that I think you have to give priority, education, health, as well as sanitation and other small essential things we have to focus on that. Then I think you can select the inclusive development is not very much difficult to achieve. That is one question. I think again, Priyanta goes, sir, another question is recent quarter, India has observed 5.4% growth rate GDP, which is much lower than RBI estimates. Do you think it is temporal? Yes, already I told, no, now the 8.2%. This is not temporal. Do you think fundamentally there is something wrong with Indian economy? See, actually, there is no doubt, my dear. Actually, see, for example, not only RBI, not only Niti Aayog, not only, this, even if you say IMF also giving the same data, or World Bank also giving the same data, or even other countries also same data, because actually, even since, so in case, for example, if I'm supporter of government of, no, BJP government, I can say something, but actually, this is not the, no, authentic sources, no, this is not someone bluffing, no, this is, no, actually, what RBI is giving the right data, as well as IMF also giving the right data, or World Bank also giving right data. There is no doubt, no need to confuse, no need to keep something. No, there is nothing is there. But only thing is, yes, India is growing very fast. There is no doubt at all. But I think they have other things to concern. Mainly, you can say particularly where the agriculture, because actually whatever the money is not going to eat, we have to eat the food. So based on that, we have to help the farmers. At the same time, so we have to give the more priority for all the sector. That is no need to think a negative way. But India is growing very fast. Okay, but as an average 2024, you can see, for example, 7% growth rate. I'm telling about the quarter four is 8.2%, but earlier it was 6.2% also. And February it talks about 5.4. At the first quarter, the 5.2, 5.4 is there. But overall, I think you can select we can achieve 7% growth rate. That I think there is no doubt at all. Chances are means as per the data, what given IMF, World Bank, all things, that is right. I think no, there is no doubt. No need to think. No, they are doing something, overestimations.
Professor Giri,
And,
sir, sorry to disturb.
sir,
Next resource person has already joined. 15 minutes you have
okay.
already taken, but
Oh,
still you just one line answer you can give to other reply questions.
yes,
Please
the other
ask.
one is one nation, one election. Yes, there is. It's not possible for all. I am not sure about actually there is possibility is there because actually a lot of mechanism we needed, but I'm not sure about that. This is initially taken a jumbly, no, jumbly election or something, one nation, one election. But we have to wait and see whether is no practically possible or not. I don't want to comment on that. That is political things. But anyhow, but what the government initiating under Ramnath Kovind leadership, I think they're taking care about something. The India is the fifth largest economy in the world and the fastest growing economy, but particularly are the poor people getting the benefits of it. Rich become richer. Yes, there is no doubt at all. That's what I'm telling the lecture also. Actually, we have to give the more priority. We have to focus on that. Not giving much, loan waiver for the corporate people. We have to give the priority for the poor people also. That's why actually whatever the inclusive no indicators that we have to focus on that. Yes, actually whatever you can say, Viksit Bharat means actually the fruits also to be needed to be distributed to needy people also. That's right. Actually, we're also asking, we're also suggesting the government of India, whatever the whatever the fruits, I think to be distributed to needy people, not only for the rich people. So we have to reduce the income inequality or economic inequality among the people. The how inflation rate affect GDP growth rate. See, for example, So when the price is very high, so the consumption behavior will be less, means people will not buy much. So in that condition, when the market economy is collapsed, particularly when the people are not buying the commodities, how the GDP's growth will take place. So there is a direct impact. The inflation is going to be direct impact in GDP because inflation will give the impact on the consumer behavior. Automatically, the investment will be reduced, the production will be reduced, our consumption will be reduced, the output will be reduced. Automatically, income is going to be affected, our GDP is going to be affected. This means the Keynes what is even the transmission mechanism, the VC circle. So based on that, yes, inflation giving the direct impact on GDP. There is no doubt at all because its impact on consumption. The backward region within the states are not considered while making center state transfers. So do you think that achieve BRD districts rather than the state should be considered as units? See, actually now that is the condition. No, diversity is there in India where we have the many states and many demands. That's what in the election also I told. Whenever the election is there, they're giving the more concentration on particular state, and where the election is over, they're totally ignoring all. So based on that, I think they have to give some little priority. For example, now the Bihar still poverty is very high. Odisha poverty is very high, as well as the Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh. There are some, based on that, special care has to be taken place. No, actually, for this condition to improve the inclusiveness, I think we have to give much importance for special care. Also has to taken care about the backward states or backward regions. That is very important. So not only giving much importance, particularly the highly advanced states. So with this, I think, thank you so much,
Yeah,
sir.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.